Hello guys and welcome to another Tokyo Revengers video. And in this video, I will be talking about the newest episode of Tokyo Revengers. And this video will be an anime review for episode 31 of Tokyo Revengers, and this is the 7th episode of the second season. And this episode covers chapters 96, 97, 98, and 99 of the Tokyo Revengers manga. In this video series, I will also be comparing the anime to the manga, and I will analyze these episodes to see if there were any scenes that were removed from the source material. And in this episode we will finally get to see the battle of the Christmas conflict, and this episode also shows us the beginning of this new gang war. And one of my favorite parts of this episode was seeing the arrival of Mitsuya, and I really enjoyed seeing the scene where Mitsuya grabbed the knife by the blade. And I also really enjoyed seeing the scene where Mitsuya was fighting against Taiju Shiba. And we could tell that Mitsuya's arrival really inspired Takemichi, and the reason why I say this is because we got to see many parallels between Takemichi and Mitsuya. And one of these parallels is that Takemichi adopted Mitsuya's fighting spirit by grabbing the knife in the same exact way that Mitsuya grabbed the knife after the arrival of Mitsuya. And Takemichi also told Hakai that this is not how you fight back. And we know that these are actually the exact same words that Mitsuya said to Yuzuwa. And another one of these parallels is that Takemichi decided to fight Taiju in the same exact way that Mitsuya fought against Taiju, and this moment was showing us that Takemichi was adopting the same fighting spirit as Mitsuya. And one of my favorite parts of this chapter was getting to see the gradual transformation of Takemichi's mental state, and in the next episodes we will get to see a lot of character development from Takemichi. And this episode ended with showing us that Takemichi's character has completely changed, and his determination has become very strong. And I also really loved getting to see Yuzuwa's determination during this episode, and this episode showed us that she is even willing to sacrifice her own life in order to protect her little brother. And in the last episode we saw that Taiju Shiba started crying, and the last episode ended with Taiju saying that he is going to kill Yuzuwa. Anyway guys, before I get into this video guys, please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more Tokyo Revengers videos. So let's get into the video now. So this episode starts off by showing us that Taiju is still crying, and in this moment Taiju just said Yuzuwa's name. And then Taiju told Yuzuwa that he is going to murder her. And in the manga we saw that Taiju had tears streaming down the left side of his face, however in the anime he had tears coming out of both of his eyes. And in this moment Yuzuwa was wiping blood off of her face, and then we saw that Yuzuwa started charging at Taiju. However Taiju just responded to this by punching her in the face, and this punch sent Yuzuwa flying down to the ground. And then we saw that Yuzuwa was just laying face down on the ground. And then Taiju started getting ready to attack Yuzuwa, however at the last second, we suddenly saw that Takemichi jumped in front of Yuzuwa. And Takemichi told Taiju that he says he cares about his family, however he is the one destroying them. And then Takemichi started yelling at Hakai, and he asked Hakai if he is going to protect Yuzuwa. And then we see that Taiju suddenly punched Takemichi in the face, and this punch sent him flying down to the ground. And then Taiju told Takemichi that they are the ones who tried to kill him first, and while he was saying this he was throwing a church bench at Takemichi. And we see that Takemichi was able to dodge this attack, and then Takemichi started asking them why a sibling fight has to escalate to killing each other, and he said that it doesn't make any sense. However Yuzuwa just responded to this by saying that this is the path that we siblings chose, and in this moment Yuzuwa was holding her arm. And then we see that Takemichi started walking towards Taiju Shiba, and in this moment Takemichi declared that he is going to kick Taiju's ass. And Hakai started telling Takemichi that he can't do this, and he also said that he has no idea how deadly Taiju is. And in this scene we saw that Yuzuwa suddenly picked up the knife, and she told Takemichi not to get in her way. And Yuzuwa was very beaten up, and her face was extremely swollen. And then Yuzuwa said that she is going to protect Hakai. And while she was saying this Yuzuwa was struggling just to stay conscious, and I thought that this moment really did an amazing job at showing us Yuzuwa's determination to protect her little brother. And then we saw that Mitsuya suddenly spawned out of nowhere, and then Mitsuya told Yuzuwa that a knife isn't something that should be used to protect people, and while he was saying this Mitsuya was holding the knife by the blade. And Yuzuwa was very surprised by Mitsuya's arrival, and she just said Mitsuya's name. And the Mitsuya asked Yuzuwa if she can let go, and he told her that she is cutting his hand. And then Yuzawa started crying, and in this moment she fell down into Mitsuya's arms, and Mitsuya started hugging Yuzawa. And then Mitsuya asked Takemichi to look after Yuzawa. And then Mitsuya turned to Taiju, and he told Taiju that they will have a one-on-one fight. And Taiju responded by asking Mitsuya if he broke the truce. And Mitsuya just replied to this by saying that he is going to tell him about something way more important than a truce, and then Mitsuya told Taiju that he should never hit his little sister no matter how badly she misbehaves. And then Mitsuya declared that this is what being an older brother is all about, and while he was saying this Mitsuya was pounding his chest, and we also saw that he unbuttoned his uniform. Anyway guys, this is where chapter 96 ends, and chapter 97 begins with showing us that Mikey and Draken are riding their motorcycles together, and Mikey was asking Draken if he heard Mitsuya's motorcycle. And Draken just replied to this by saying that Mikey is the only person stupid enough to ride in this weather. And in this scene the anime made a small change to the manga, and in this change the anime made them ride on separate motorcycles, however in the manga they were riding on the same exact motorcycle. And then the next part of this chapter shows us the fight of Mitsuya versus Taiju Shiba, and we saw that Mitsuya was able to punch Taiju in the face. And in this moment we saw that Mitsuya was able to match Taiju punch for punch, and this scene was showing us that Mitsuya is a very competent fighter. And in this scene that anime added many scenes that were never in the manga, and in these scenes Taiju and Mitsuya were just punching each other. And then we saw that Chifuyu suddenly arrived on the scene, and Chifuyu told Takemichi that Hanma and Kasaki betrayed him, and he also told him that Mitsuya is the person who saved him. And then Chifuyu revealed to Takemichi that he is the person who called Mitsuya, and he said that the reason why he did this is so that Kasaki couldn't outsmart them. And in this moment the anime added a fight scene that was never in the manga, and in this scene Taiju was fighting against Mitsuya. And then we see that Mitsuya suddenly started kneeling, and Taiju asked Mitsuya what is wrong. And Taiju said that he has only been using 70% of his power. However Mitsuya just responded to this by telling Taiju that he doesn't have the advantage, and then Mitsuya said that he was just tightening a strap on his boot. And then Mitsuya started charging at Taiju, and Taiju responded to this by punching Mitsuya in the face. And in this moment Hakai was yelling at Mitsuya, and he was telling him that Taiju is way too powerful for him to defeat. However Chifuyu suddenly told Hakai to shut up, and then he told Hakai that the reason why Mitsuya is being stubborn is because Hakai is watching him, and then Chifuyu said that Mitsuya is risking his life for his sake. And in this scene we see that Takemichi said that Mitsuya is going to win. And Chifuyu was just agreeing with Takemichi. And then the next scene shows us that Taiju has taken many punches from Mitsuya, and Taiju said that Mitsuya is a very tough fighter. And then Taiju just said, "It's time we end this, right Inupi?" And in this moment Inupi suddenly appeared behind Mitsuya, and then he hit him in the back of the head with a metal pipe. And then we see that Coco suddenly arrived on the scene, and then Coco asked them if his information was worth $100,000. And in this moment Hakai started freaking out, and he said that Mitsuya is not moving. And Inupi said that the reason why Mitsuya is not moving is because he clobbered him with all of his might. And in this moment Taiju started laughing, and he said that Inupi did a good job. And in this moment we saw that Chifuyu became extremely angry, and he just started screaming at Taiju, and then he asked Taiju what the hell did he just do. And in this moment Takemichi also started screaming at Taiju, and Takemichi said the same exact thing as Chifuyu, and he also called Taiju a bastard. And in this moment Takemichi and Chifuyu were both very angry at Taiju, and they had veins popping out of their forehead. And then in the next part of this episode we see that Taiju started laughing at Takemichi and Chifuyu, and then he told them to bring it on, and he also said that they are stupid punks. And in this scene Coco was smiling at the Toman members, and Inupi was just staring at the Toman members. Anyway guys, this is where chapter 97 ends, and chapter 98 begins with Takemichi and Chifuyu charging at Taiju. However at the last second we see that Mitsuya suddenly told them to wait. And then we see that Mitsuya started strategizing with the Toman members, and he told them that if they get defeated, then Yuzawa will probably get killed. And then Mitsuya told Takemichi that he did not call Mikey. And in this moment Takemichi fell down to his knees, and he thought to himself that this is hopeless. And then we see that Takemichi started crying, and he said that he can't fight 3 people all by himself. However, Mitsuya told Takemichi that he is not going to put everything on his shoulders, and then Mitsuya said that he will fight against Taiju if they can hold back Koko and Inupi. And then Mitsuya asked Hakai if he can help him out with this. And then we see that Mitsuya started asking Hakai if he can help him fight in order to protect Yuzuwa. And then out of nowhere we see that Takemichi suddenly started yelling, and then he apologized for being a pussy. And then the next part of the episode shows us that Chifuyu and Takemichi started fighting against Koko and Inupi. And then we see that Hakai and Mitsuya decided to team up together in order to fight against Taiju. And Mitsuya gave Hakai a pat on the back, and then he told Hakai that he is way stronger than Taiju. And in this moment Taiju asked Hakai if he is going to disobey him. Anyway guys, this is where chapter 98 ends, and chapter 99 begins with showing us that Chifuyu is fighting against Inupi. And we also get to see that Takemichi is trying to hold on to Koko, and he was holding him back. And in this moment Mitsuya was telling Hakai to have some confidence. And then Mitsuya started charging at Taiju, however at the last second, Mitsuya suddenly realized that Hakai was not charging into battle. And then Taiju decided to punch Mitsuya in the face, and this punch knocked Mitsuya down to the ground. And then the next scene shows us that Koko kicked Takemichi in the stomach, and this attack knocked Takemichi down to the ground. And then we see that Inupi told Chifuyu that he wanted to fight him when he was in better fighting shape, and while he was saying this we saw that Chifuyu got knocked out. And in the manga the author did not show us how Inupi knocked out Chifuyu, however the anime showed us that Inupi knocked out Chifuyu by punching him in the face. And then we see that Hakai suddenly grabbed a knife, and in this moment Hakai declared that he is going to kill Taiju. However, we suddenly saw that Takemichi came out of nowhere, and Takemichi stopped Hakai by hitting him with a headbutt. And then Takemichi grabbed his knife by the blade, and in this moment Takemichi said that if he does this then he will become an irredeemable bastard. And then Takemichi told Hakai that this is not how you fight back. And then Takemichi turned around to face Taiju, and he told Hakai that he is going to show him what it means to fight back. And Taiju called Takemichi a little punk, and he also said that he still hasn't learned his lesson. And Takemichi just responded to this by smiling at Taiju, and then he said that not learning his lesson is his only redeeming quality. And the Takemichi started charging at Taiju, and in this moment he was challenging Taiju to a fight. And then we see that Takemichi tried to punch Taiju in the face, however Taiju just responded to this by punching Takemichi in the face. And Takemichi said that he is still not down yet. And the next part of this episode just shows us that Taiju is just repeatedly punching Takemichi in the face. And Taiju asked Takemichi how many times he needs to punch him until he is satisfied. And then we got to see Takemichi's face after taking many punches from Taiju, and we get to see that he is so beaten up that his left eye isn't even visible. However, despite this, Takemichi still has not lost his conviction, and Takemichi said that he is not going to lose. And Hakai tried to tell Takemichi that he is too weak, and he told Takemichi that he has done enough, and then he started begging him to stop. And we see that even Chifuyu told Takemichi that he tried his best, and he also said that they lost this fight. However, Takemichi just replied to this by grabbing his necklace that was given to him by Hinata, and in this moment Takemichi was thinking about Hinata. And Takemichi thought to himself about the reason why he is fighting, and then he asked Hinata to give him courage. And then Takemichi thought to himself that Hakai won't be able to stand up for himself if Taiju is still around. And then Takemichi started speaking to Taiju, and Takemichi declared that he is going to defeat Taiju Shiba, and Takemichi also said that he is going to take control of the Black Dragon's gang. And in this moment we saw that Taiju became so angry that he had veins popping out of his forehead. And we also saw that Hakai has a very surprised look on his face. And in this moment we also got to see the reactions of Chifuyu, and Chifuyu just said Takemichi's name. And then this episode ends with showing a close-up face shot of Takemichi, and he has a very determined look on his face. And in this moment we can see that Takemichi is just staring at Taiju, and in the next chapter we will get to see the climax of the Christmas conflict. Anyway guys, this is where chapter 99 ends, and this is also where this episode ends. Anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, and want to see more like it, then like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.